Okay, we are down to adjournment, unless there are there questions, comments, concerns that one would care to address now. Commissioner Linkstein.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And I know on the agenda we listed the decision item on the draft standards, and so I do want to proactively address that question because we haven't taken any action or decision in deference to your earlier statements and the citizens' comments. And I do want to put forward a motion. It won't be a resolution of the board that was drafted. I think the draft resolution was authorizing distribution for public review, and I want to take a different action. I want to propose an action that the board do four things. First of all, revise the title of the document that the staff crafted, constructed as perhaps staff will have to work with the executive director on this and the chair, but I think that the better title of the document that was prepared is an inventory or background document. It is not really a draft set of model criteria or standards. So that would be my first component of the motion. Second component of the motion is that we do form an EQB subcommittee to work on the preparation of the model standards and criteria, and that the subcommittee involve representatives of EQB, including DNR, PCA, Health, MnDOT, the chair, and a citizen representative or more than one citizen representative. Third, that subcommittee engage citizens, local units of government, and the Industrial Sand Council in the development of those model standards in an active and participative way, including meetings in southeastern Minnesota and other parts of the state. And fourth, that we bring back a timeline and a plan for approval by the board at the October EQB meeting. So, Mr. Chair, in recognizing that that's a very long motion, I wanted to just put that out there because I know a lot of people are interested in what path are we on here. And you've all taken time out of your schedules to do this, and I think the board needs to consider that course of action as an appropriate way to respond to the concerns that have been raised, as well as our own timing for this effort.
I'm informed that we can't take action on the motion because it would have to have appeared on the agenda. But I guess that we'd get a sense of where we want to go, and I certainly would concur with that. Commissioner Roth.
In the spirit of giving a sense, I had my own notes and had similar thoughts for motions and almost had every point you had. And I think it's important we express our intention. So I would have seconded the motion and would have supported the intention, which would be to basically go back to square one and have a subcommittee look at this and come back to us after the public engagement that I think we would like to see.
I've asked legal counsel to give us some advice on how to get through this process.
Mr. Chair,
Commissioner Landwehr?
do you need to be involved in that conversation?
Kind of.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, so it sounds like what we're able to do is the subcommittee we won't be able to take action on because it's not covered by the resolution that was advertised on the agenda. But the rest of it could probably be handled as just amendments to the resolution that is before us. And so
So, Mr. Chair, I would say everything I said previously minus create the subcommittee of
You've heard the,
EQB. However, it's my intention to return to the meeting in October with a specific proposal on the agenda so people can.
So the motion would be to direct us to move in, what, this direction?
Correct.
Right.
All right. That's a great motion, isn't it?
Just
Commissioner?
a question or information. For the subcommittee piece of it, does it take a full board action, or can the chair appoint it? Or do we need
Full
to-
board action.
Right. So, I mean, what we could do is, I mean, the motion, if I could perhaps restate it, would be to substitute the language in the resolution with direction to revise the title of the document to an inventory or background document, to engage citizens, LGUs, and the Industrial Sand Council in the process, and that would be what the subcommittee would do, subcommittee yet to be formed, and then to bring back a timeline plan at the next board meeting.
And that is your motion?
That is.
And there is a second?
Second.
There is a second. Is there discussion on the motion? Tom?
Mr. Chairman, I want to support that, but I also want to note that we don't have to wait for a subcommittee to be formed to have some more work. And what I would like to suggest, one of the groups that you did not mention, John, in your motion was the technical advisory team. And I know they're not completely in place yet, but once we have that technical advisory team, we will have some great staff expertise. And it seems to me that in the interim, when a technical advisory team is formed, we could have them start doing some work. And I would like to suggest that perhaps they could do an inventory of local units of government to find out what they've got currently for standards as one of the things that we could, some of the information that we could bring back to the EQB subcommittee. So I think the technical advisory team will do some background work on this and come back to that subcommittee with some information, maybe not recommendations, but information on where we could be starting, so that we're not starting with a clean slate sheet of paper, because I think that's really the wrong place to start.
Thank you. Mr. Chair, I know.
It's not part of a motion.
No, I understand, and I, just based on the wisdom of counsel whispering in my ear, the additional comment I'd make is that it not be limited to the groups that I expressed, but that it include the groups that I expressed, because there may be additional interested groups who should have access and participation in the engagement on this question. So with that understanding, that's my motion, and Mr. Chair,
You're sticking to it, right? Okay. Kristen, did you have your?
Just one other comment, I think, to just reiterate and enforce the idea of a tight timeline, that it is critically important that we have a very tight timeline that we deliver in October.
Correct. Thank you. Keeping in mind that we all have agencies to run too.
Yes, I realize that, and businesses to run.
And businesses, et cetera, yeah. Brian?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, I understand one of the duties of this subcommittee is to revise the title. And without regard for whatever that revision is, my desire would be to have the subcommittee report back to the board as to whether this ordinance is meant to go to cities and counties and townships in whole for use, or if it's a set of standards that they're going to base their ordinances from. And what I think about, as I was listening to the testimony today, I live in a unique area of the state also, northeastern Minnesota. It's where all the lakes are. It's all the best water quality in the state of Minnesota. It's where the tourists come. If it weren't for tourists, we wouldn't have much of an economy in our area either. But the state of Minnesota has what's called, the DNR has what's called the minimum shoreline standards. And each county in the state who really cherishes their water and their resources, we take that minimum document and we revise it stricter and stricter and stricter. In fact, our own county has revised it 9 times since the DNR issued it in 1989. Ever more stricter each time. Further protections, further protections, further protections. So my question is, and my request would be, not for an immediate answer, but to understand more clearly if this subcommittee is intending on creating a document that is a starting point. It could be the end point for some governmental units, or it may be the starting point for others. Because one of the things I did hear loud and clear here is a lot of things were unique in different parts, in different areas of southeastern Minnesota. And with all the county and township and city council members we've had here, each local unit being different, I want to be clear that, is this a document that states or it lays out the state's minimum standards, and you offer protections above and beyond that for your local area? Or is this meant to be the standalone? And like I say, I don't need an answer right now, I just want to be clear on that as we move forward.
Mr. Chair, I don't know if it requires a second, or not, but to,
We did have a second.
Did we have a second?
You seconded.
It was
Okay, it was-
like, even to the change, or, I just wanted to be clear that we're talking about having full public engagement, including but not limited to the ones that we've talked about, to make sure that we are encompassing everyone.
Yes, and legal counsel reminds us that the law is prescriptive, and we have to be cognizant of that and really return a document that they're asking for. And so I think we can get there through this process and certainly be inclusive. And of course, that was the intent from day one. All right, further discussion on the motion? Hearing none, a roll call vote.
Ms. Duncanson?
Aye.
Mr. Frederickson?
Aye.
Ms. Gehring?
Aye.
Commissioner Landwehr?
Aye.
Commissioner Napstead?
Aye.
Commissioner Rothman?
Aye.
Mr. Saxog?
Aye.
Commissioner Stein?
Aye.
Mr. Tomlinson?
Aye.
9 votes.
Motion prevails. Thank you. Is there a motion, any other business that needs to come before the EQB board?
Move to adjourn.
Not a motion to adjourn. Is there a second? There is a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you one and all for your patience today. Appreciate it very much.